All right, so yes, Ricardo and I, we will talk about the new EP, if you will, from Micwise called
Right.
Flow State, right? And I'll just let you all know that this is going to be technically the shortest review that I've ever done for
Yeah.
a Micwise album, right? Because
Right.
yeah, this pretty much is a straightforward, simple, to the point, 7-track EP.
Yeah.
I gotta call this an EP, right? And there's not really much to overanalyze, even though I will touch on, the tone of the songs and of course, lyrics and whatnot. But really, the title kind of tells you what this album is about, right? It's Flow State. It's just really about Mike just showcasing his lyrical skills. So what I will say is that if you are familiar with his music, then these themes that are brought up in these 7 songs should be all too familiar to you, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, this is just about him just showcasing his talent, showcasing why he is one of the best to do it right now in Trinidad right now. And yeah, as he said on Facebook, this is just the first of a lot of work that he has planned for 2026, right? So yeah,
Right.
I'm just gonna treat this as just the first chapter in, I don't know, like a series of fiery releases that we will get throughout the course of this year, right? So yeah, let's waste no time. Let's jump into, and yes, we're gonna do it track by we're gonna cover it track by track, right? So yeah, population. This is the first track, and I should mention too, that this is produced basically, well, at least we have 5 producers involved in this, right? So we have Hard to See, they've worked before in the past. We have
Right.
Reason, also work with Mike in the past as well. Nigma Beats and Chief J, they come in on the 3rd track. And we have Soft Flow, right? So yeah, the first track here we have is Population, right? And Hard to See now. So he starts, and slight spoiler, he closes the album off, right? So yeah, he sets the moody tone of the record in quite in a brilliant way with the first instrumental. I dug the classy piano chords and how the boom bap drums come in, and I love the way how the drums come in very dramatically, right, when the beat kicks in, right? And yeah, and also just lastly on the beat here, I love how it gets a little theatrical around the 1 minute 8 second mark when Mike gets a little political here, right? But yeah, Mike does a great job pretty much setting the tone of the record. He has his spoken word bit where he's talking about how you're going to be hearing the ramblings of a madman, which I find is which is funny to me because, years ago, he put out a mixtape called Micwise Mad, right? Which we both checked out and we enjoyed as well, right? But yeah, he raps about how his music is overanalyzed by some people who think that he's just trying way too hard to sound compelling, right? Or relevant. But it's like, no, like, when he is inspired to talk about something and he will put pen to paper, he'll get the right beat and he'll say what he had to say, right? So I'm not gonna mention all the quotables in this though, but this track, even with its like close to 2 minute runtime, is chock full of quotables, right? So I'll just quote one, where he says, "Won't accept wins at the expense of my people, never put a W before we, that's what the rest will do." Get it? Wrestle do. Get it? WWE. Right. But yeah, as his shortest track on the album, it gets his point across, starts the album off very well, right? Up next, we have Hear Ye. This is the first single. This is produced by Reason, right? And this is the type of beat that just works its way into your brain every time it plays because of the bluesy vocalizing and then the thumping bass and then especially them strings though, and how the strings sound, and you hear some light wind instrument used in the background, right? And yeah, Micwise has been known to pick cinematic beats before, but this one feels like some, like a nighttime scene to some neo-noir film, right? Also, mad points for the Kit as in Knight Rider voice snippet that's used as what Reason uses as a tag before Micwise raps, right? You hear, "This is not cupcakes, this is the voice of Reason," so that's a Knight Rider sample, right? And yeah, going back to what I said earlier about trying hard to sound compelling. No, this track makes it clear that he don't even have to try anything. He is very compelling here, right? He raps about how he puts a ton of effort into his artistry. He doesn't dumb his music down. He doesn't follow trends for airplay or popularity, right? On the second verse, he talks about how it's all self-expression for him.
Yeah.
But he is willing to admit that, his life is far from perfect, right? But he makes a case for himself here that the expression of his flawed character is what makes him realer than half the people that you hear on radio, right? So it's like that, right? But great track, great choice for lead single. And again, that beat will stay with you long after you first hear the CP, right? But Ricardo, as I take a little breath here, your thoughts on the first two tracks here, Population and Hear Ye.
Yeah, solid out. And I was actually quite surprised at how short this whole album was. But yeah, these are just a really solid little opening thing. I was walking with this album, so I was like, they have been working on thing. Not my favorite track, but it's still a day. So how did it?
All right, so up next is Forever Wild. And this one features my favorite beat on the record here. Then again, I'm a Mobb Deep fan, so well, then again, not just Mobb Deep fan, but just 90s East Coast hardcore boom bap shit. That's me, right? But yeah, this is courtesy of Nigma Beats and Chief Chi, right? And yeah, this is some grimy mid-90s East Coast shit. And to the point that, as I mentioned, Mobb Deep, right? They even take like the first line from Cradle to the Grave. I was like, all right, yep. That's my shit, right? But yeah, this track is basically about confrontation, how one should deal with confrontation, right? Knowing that, there are some people who will let emotion get to the head and you'll get violent and then, lives are lost, right? So I love how, Mike addresses that on this beat, right? Yeah, because, the beat is grimy, so I love that he's kind of saying, yeah, I can be grimy too, but at the same time, listen, I'm not gonna get myself killed, I'm not gonna get nobody, killed as well, right? So it's like that, right? I also love how, like, on the second verse, he kind of talks about the performative nature of like when some rappers go against other rappers as well too, right? So and I find it so funny that we're hearing this track right now because right now we have this weird beef. I say weird because right now I have no clue why it restart or why it going on in the first place. Talk about, right? T.I. and 50 Cent. It seems right now like T.I. just going after 50 just because T.I. put out some new music. Like, okay, fine, but like, why you going after 50 though?
Oh, it's T.I. on 50 neck, boy, for a while, boy.
No, I know. Well, all right, I know the beef. Okay, from what I hear, this beef has been going on for like a long while, right? But yeah, quite recently, this T.I. just been dropping like diss track after diss track after this match. Like, dog, what you
I think he saw jumpy too, all kind of thing. So I think what it is, I think what happens is that 50 has been a problem for a little while for a lot of people. And is he's looking like the good guy right now because of the Diddy thing, but 50 is a problem, right? He has always been a kind of weird problem, and so T.I. coming after him is hilarious. And then 50, 50 don't rap again, right? Like, you admit that, right? So it's that, but it's weird. Like, I don't know what's going on as it is. But the thing is, I would say the best anti-50, this was Jadakiss. Like, people forget that. That to this day is like I still was real eviscerated, but like it came at that time, it didn't matter anymore. 50 done making money and he done move on for rap, so it's like whatever. I don't know. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, moving on, right? Because we talking about Micwise here, right? But yeah, it's about that. It's about the nature of confrontation, right? And especially in a society where, all you gotta do is just like step on a man clocks, right? Just to quote what we said like years ago on the show, right? Yeah, for somebody to lose their life, right? But yeah, great song. It has my favorite beat on the album, on the EP, but I would put this as second favorite since for me, Hear Ye is the best song on this EP here, right? But yeah, the beat though is fire in my opinion, right? And then before I take my second break now, we have the second single, City of God, right? The music video came out a few days ago at the time of us recording this. And just basically, Mike in Professor's studio, doing his thing, right? Soft Flow comes through now with a very pensive instrumental. It has these bass guitars and piano keys. And I love how, like, slightly pitch shifted the key sound near the end of the song, right? So I'm not gonna say how the movie City of God is brought up on the song, but it makes for one of the best bars on this EP, bar none, right? But yeah, it basically, well, like the movie, it touches on this youthful disillusionment of society, right? And how that affects, their choices, right? So Mike frames himself as someone who knows a lot about, the dark side of societies and what you should look out for, right? He's pretty much trying to inspire his younger listeners to learn more about their surroundings, right? And try to figure out their way through life, right? And not get roped into crime and, stuff like that, right? But yeah, dope track. If you haven't seen the video, definitely check it out because the lyrics are there. And yeah, when you pick up on some of the bars and some of the quotes and whatnot, right? You'll be amazed at just the level of intensity that went into this song though. This was good. This was good.
My friends just have these quotables, and I'm cracking up sometimes. Like, it's the Thierry Henry, smiling meme there.
Yeah.
I just like thinking like that. It's just making me laugh. But I the bank, however. It's like, this shit.
But all right, so before I take my pause, right? So I'm not gonna quote my quote, right? But I just make a mention in my comments, to that video, where he make a reference to Lost Source. So I was like, okay, yeah. I see what you did there. But yeah, Ricardo, your thoughts on Forever Wild and City of God?
City of God is my personal favorite track on the album.
Nice.
I wish it was longer. It's like, did that already? He was huge. He was spitting. Micwise, he's saying that thing. I think I don't know if it's a reference to the film, to the Brazilian film. So probably, but he probably had a lyrical to add a listen again to see if I pick up some. This was a big flow. The track before was like neither here nor there for me. I found myself surprisingly skipping it. I thought I would like beyond it. The beat again, as you mentioned, the beat solid. But I don't know, like it just don't stick with me for some reason. I had to give it more and more of a chance. But I find myself like when I was walking, I was just skipping it. Surprisingly. But but City of God, real hard. I think it's because City of God was just so good. So I find myself getting back to City of God.
Alright. And quick question. The beat though, what you thought about the beat? Especially that bass guitar, that doom 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 doom. Yeah. I love that. Alright, so we have Carry Me Further. Hard to See comes back now to the fold. He brings more classy sounds to the record, right? So this one has these spirited piano keys and dramatic strings, right? And of course, the boom bap drums, right? First verse features this rather poetic look at the struggle it took for Trinidad and Tobago to be its own governing nation, but like it ends where there are all these like negative elements that still exist in our society, that keeps us in the third world tier, if you will, right? And Mike continues to look inward in the second verse as he raps about how hard he has to work, right, just to put food on his table, right? But how cautious he had to be about people who much rather steal from him than work just as hard as he does, right? But yeah, even though this is not my favorite beat on the record, I do like how it sounds, right? It has a particular jazziness to it as well, right? I love like just how we're hearing these very grim bars over these sort of like smooth, classy beats though. Like I think that's like the aesthetic of this record here, right? So I'm just gonna run through the last two tracks here, and then you'll share your thoughts on these three, and then we'll wrap up, right? So we have Genuflect, which is the second and final beat provided by Reason, right? It has a moodier, low-key vibe compared to Hear Ye, right? And I love how there's this sense of unease and tension throughout it, even though you're just hearing this soothing female vocalizing and the jazzy pianos. But there's something about it that still make you feel uneasy, right? Which I love, right? And you basically get this extended verse from Mike, right? And listen, the first half features a rhyme scheme that I dare not spoil, that is so well executed, boy. It's easy to get swept up in the lyrical wordplay that you're hearing, right? Throughout the entirety of the song, right? But yeah, Mike is pretty much rapping about how his songs are meant to heal himself and others, right? And yeah, he's aware of his status as a local rapper, but he doesn't let that get in the way of his life's mission, right? There's a vocal snippet that closes the song where someone coins the phrase effortless effort. I think to me that kind of sums up this track and Mikewise's music as a whole, right? And last but not least, we have Last Letters, right? This is where Hard to See and Mike saved their most heartfelt creative output for last, right? Hard to See's instrumental has this reflective, melancholy sound to it with its mid-tempo drums, ghostly vocalizing, and somber string and guitar melodies, right? And Mike portrays himself as this elderly version of himself. He's close to dying. He's expressing his thoughts and feelings through rhyme. Second verse hits so hard because he's talking about how he wasn't able to fully support his child or children, when he had the strength in him, when he was much younger, and how that in itself was a generational issue that he thought he could have fixed, during his lifetime, but he couldn't. And all I'll say without spoiling anything is that it closes with a reference to a vitamin that to the untrained ear, it might sound corny, but when you hear it, right, especially how it comes in after what was said before in that second verse, boy, it hits you, boy. It really hits you, boy. It's so endearing and it's so sad to it. And just when you hear it over the beat too, boy, it's like, wow, boy, like I can't laugh at this. There's nothing funny about this, boy. And it's not meant to be funny, right? But yeah, this is the self-aware, self-affirmative track here. And yeah, it's a somber way to close the EP, but I think it's a great way to close it off, in my opinion, right? But yeah, your thoughts on the last three tracks here, that would be Carry Me Further, Genuflect, and Last Letters.
Yeah, I love Carry Me Further enough. Again, another not skippable, but like it don't really stick with me, but it's still a solid track. Love Genuflect, great out in there. And then that last track I really like, very inspired, very clever beat. I did pick up on the vitamin line that you picked up, so I don't know what you were talking about. I'll listen to it and see if I can pick up on it later. But yeah, overall this was a nice little solid outing. I didn't expect it to be such a short outing, but I enjoyed for it was. So yeah, more work from Mike. I can't go mad. Can't go wrong with that.
Right. So yeah, this was, again, like I say, short, simple, to the point, and it's pretty much an indication of the level of quality that Micah has been giving us for years now. And I'm just amazed that we actually live in a country where there's someone who is willing to go all in on his craft and just give us nothing but banger after banger after banger when it comes to his output, right? But yeah, this one is to the point, and I can't be mad at this. Nothing too much to overanalyze. But I will say that I would say like if you've never listened to a Micwise project, you should do your homework first before jumping into this one. I wouldn't call this an entry point, right? Even though it's short enough that you could jump into it and be like, all right, I like this guy's music, I want to hear more. I really think that you should check out his other work, right? But at the same time, I'm not going to compare that to his other work as well, too, right? Because I know that this is just one in what I assume is going to be a handful of projects that we'll be getting this year, right? But he is off to a fantastic start here. I can't be mad at this, right? So for me, I'm going to give this a decent, a strong 7 out of 10. I think that this is absolutely worth checking out. It's available now on Spotify. I think it's on Bandcamp right now, and other platforms as well too, right? So I'll put the links, or at least the main link that you could go to where you could find sites where you can listen to the project for yourself, right? But yeah, if you're a Micwise fan, you'll absolutely enjoy this. If you've never listened to his work before, I strongly recommend checking out some of his previous work, some of which I've actually covered here in podcast form, right? But yeah, as far as like the start of his 2026 output, man, yeah, he is off to a fantastic start, man. Can't be mad. Yeah, Ricardo, your final thoughts and rating on Flow State.
Yeah, solid enough out. And I haven't fun with it. I had fun with it. It was just, I didn't think it would be so short. But if it's just one piece of more content coming forward, like throughout the year, I can live with that. Really just nice handful of tracks. Like, I vibe with it. I enjoy it.
You want to rate it?
Like an 8 out of 10. Solid. Again, solid, quick out, and again, quick and out. For what it is, like, it's not meant to be something. It's just a quick EP. Yeah, I dig it as for it is. I didn't expect something major or anything like that. Yeah, so it's that.